This is Forward Thinking, the vlog series from the Global Freight Group that explores all things global logistics by speaking to leaders around the world. In this edition, we're talking to Todd from USA Cargo. Todd is the chairman of the Global Freight Group and also runs one of the biggest export businesses in the US. He's going to be talking to us about the big issues they're facing and how working with the likes of the Global Freight Group has helped him overcome those challenges. So if you're ready, let's move the conversation forward. So, hi Todd, welcome and thank you for joining us. Can you kick off by telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, good morning. I'm Todd Mordecai. I am with USA Cargo in Atlanta, Georgia. I am the president of USA Cargo. I'm also the chairman of the Global Freight Group and head that up.
And I know with the Global Freight Group, USA Cargo's been involved with it since the onset, or very early on. Can you give us a little bit of a backstory about how USA Cargo became one of the founding members?
Yeah, so what we did was back in the mid '90s when we started, or helped to start the Global Freight Group, we were looking to basically have an avenue to compete with some of the bigger multinational forwarders by having agents around the world, because we felt like if we didn't have a group of agents, a network to work with, that we would, we'd be kind of left behind in that whole thing. So that's when we started reaching out to other forwarders in the US and then into the UK. And from there, it just progressed on to help build a network so that we could offer the same services as every other forwarder and be competitive and have that competitive edge.
Okay. Well, we'll come back to the Global Freight Group in a bit, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about USA Cargo. Can you give us a bit more of of an understanding about what you guys do, what you specialize in, where you are?
Yeah, so USA Cargo was founded in 1981, so we're a little over 40 years old. Family business. We are mainly an international export freight forwarder. Most of our business is focused on exports out of the U.S. We do some imports, but Lee Hardeman, who's the partner company in Atlanta, handles the import side, customs clearance, things like that. We work really close with them, but in terms of USA Cargo, we focus on exports. We do commodities all over the scope, anywhere from animal feed supplement to actual food products. We do a tremendous amount of refrigerated cargo. We do ro-ro, break bulk cargo, pretty much anything and everything. The only thing we kind of stay away from is personal effects. But beyond that, USA Cargo handles cargo for everything and everywhere. And we have different customers that ask for different things. We have some who ask in basic freight forwarding needs, like just, hey, can you do our documents? Can you file AES? Can you submit SIs to the steamship lines? To customers who want us to hold their hand through the whole process.
So in terms of the customers that you're working with across the States, I guess, in the main, the connection to the Global Freight Group offers them a much wider gamut of where they can move their goods. Does it help with that side of things from your point of view?
Oh, it's a huge bonus for us. We wouldn't be able to do what we do. We wouldn't be able to function like we function without Global Freight Group. Global Freight Group enables us to provide the kind of service that we need to provide as a freight forwarder here in the U.S. To compete and to offer the services that our customers need. Without Global Freight Group, we would probably not be in business today, because Global Freight Group has enabled us to progress with the times, and the times have said you have to have a network of agents to be able to do A, B, C, and D, and that's what Global Freight Group provides.
I think that word competitiveness, which you've just mentioned, strikes a real chord with a lot of the partners and the members that I've spoken to at Global Freight Group. That idea of being able to compete on a wider market really is the secret sauce of the network. You've been involved and your family's been involved from the outset. When you think about what it's achieved and considering it's the 30-year anniversary of the Global Freight Group. What are the highlights and what are you most proud of that group achieving?
We're really proud of how it's grown. Um, never did we envision we'd have as many members as we do. Through all of the ups and downs of the logistics business, it's stayed pretty sustainable. Um, and we have a lot of long-term members who have been here and we've been able to foster relationships with, and we've brought in a lot of great new members. So it's a really great thing we've done over these years.
And I guess the next question you could answer either as the leader of the Global Freight Group, as the chairman of the Global Freight Group, or as the president of USA Cargo. There might be a slightly different answer for each way, but what are your hopes and what is your vision for the future of the Global Freight Group, and where do you want to see it going next?
Well, as the chairman of Global Freight Group, we want it to continue to grow. I think it's important for our members that we continue to add new members, because with new members comes new business, comes new opportunities. So we're always looking to grow. We're always looking to broaden that scope of agents so that our members, have something great that they can turn to where they're getting business and also giving business. But also, when we're trying to grow, not out of just growing, but growing with new members who have the same ideas, visions, that everybody else in Global Freight Group has, and are good, sustainable members. We just don't want to bring in a member just to bring in a member. We want to make sure that they're a good, solid company, that they have a good foundation, that they're going to, hold up the ethics and the the drive of what everyone else in the Global Freight Group currently does, and that we're not just putting in a member to put in a member. As the president of USA Cargo, I think that, Global Freight Group looks a little different to me, because Global Freight Group to me is a great tool for my business. And with us doing a lot of exports, we're not as focused on, how much business am I getting from everybody else, as we are, okay, do I have a great agent at the destination? And if I do, that's just such a huge bonus for our business. So, our relationships
Mm.
are more, just having this almost security blanket, around the world of, if I send something to a destination, I know it's going to be taken care of because we have a great agent at that destination.
So, Todd, tell me, if I became a member, what's in it for me? What are the benefits, and what are you looking for from members in return?
The benefits are, one, gaining a group of experienced um, logistics providers around the world. Foremost is new business. I mean, it's a great opportunity to gain new business from members around the world that are shipping to or from, a new member's country. That's the main benefit. That's what people are looking for. But more than that, you're gaining relationships, you're gaining friendships. But it does take some time. It's not a process of where, it's going to happen overnight. You got to give it some time, and you got to let the relationships foster, and you got to find business with people that's mutual business and mutual benefits to both companies, and from there things grow, and it could be one little piece of business that then grows into something huge, down the road.
Yeah, and I know that I was lucky enough to attend the last annual conference, and we had conversations there with a bunch of people. And I actually interviewed one of the other members recently, David Mack. He said he had been waiting, I think it was about a decade to join, and he was in no rush. He understood it was the long game, and it was really nice talking to him to understand just that sort of that value add that if you can stick in there and stick around a long time. I saw it firsthand. The relationships that some of the long-standing members have are through thick and thin. So it's a really nice model, and I can see why it's so popular. What I want to ask you a little about now is more about advice and trends. So you guys really are working on the other side of the pond at the forefront of freight forwarding, and I wondered if you had any advice or you could give any insights about how the market's going and what's going on at the moment, could you give us any feedback on what you're feeling over there and how business is going? And I know you guys have got some interesting government things going on at the moment as well, so I'm sure the elections will play a part. But what's the vibe in the US, and how does that transmit into your business at the moment?
Well, the logistics landscape in general is a bit chaotic. And it's tough doing business with what's going on in the Panama Canal, with the drought, with what's going on in the Red Sea, with what they're dealing with. It's made logistics even more difficult because vessels are getting delayed, lines are pulling vessels. They're having to take various routes to get there, or the routes are delayed because when you're coming through the Panama Canal, it's taking a lot longer to get through. And then vessels are getting stopped on one side or the other in the Red Sea, waiting to see what's going on or what's going to happen. So it's made it difficult. We're having to, as a company, we're having to do a lot of revisions on things, a lot of updates. We're getting, a lot of our time is spent updating information, updating vessels, updating schedules to our customers, changing load dates, things like that, because the vessels are slipping or they're delaying coming in or things like that. So it's made it difficult right now to do business. But on the other side of that, business is flowing. Business has picked up quite a bit since the beginning of 2023, and it kind of slowed down a good bit after the whole 2 years of COVID, and then it kind of slowed down. Now it's picking up, but with that pickup, you also have a lot of other issues going on. So it's tough. It's a lot of work on our people. But we invite those things because by the market being difficult, our customers don't want to deal with it. They want us to handle it. So it gives us an opportunity to do things that they can't do and to help them out. And they know what we're doing, is important, and it also takes a big burden off of their logistics.
I mean, it definitely adds value working with people or a network that are problem solvers rather than commodity salespeople. And ultimately, that was one of the big messages I took away. You've got a network that you where you can't overcome certain factors in the world, obviously, but there's things that collectively or as an individual business you can do for your customer or each other that really sort of overcome those issues. The piracy part, which is obviously huge news globally and certainly over this side of the pond at the moment, is that directly affecting cost of shipping as well, or is it more the timings and what you can promise? Is that where the main issue comes in?
Well, now it's both because you had timing and things like that, but now steamship lines are putting in additional surcharges for the rerouting of the vessels and things like that and unlike in most, especially in the US, we have the FMC that regulates kind of what carriers can do and notices they have to give, and they've given them some leeway there in terms of putting additional charges in right away that used to have to be 30 days notice. So you're getting hit with additional charges because of those delays in the Red Sea and because of the reroutings of vessels and things like that. So and then you're just seeing anything that's especially coming in from Asia or things like that, you're seeing some increases in rates for sure.
Okay. So, as it always was, a complex market that has a lot of factors in the sort of wider environment. Again, one of the reasons I guess why we're here together talking about the global freight group, that insight that comes from being in a network and talking to each other, it's certainly one of the things that came across previously. To round off our conversation, I'd love just to get your take on you've been in the game a while, and your family's certainly been in the business a long time. But what advice would you give to new firms or individuals getting into this industry? What tips would you give them, or is there anything that you would leave them with as a piece of advice?
Well, I always tell people, the logistics business is tough It's a tough business, but it's a good business and it's a consistent business. It's always going to be around. It always has been around. It's always going to be around. If you do a good job for your customer, if you provide them a good service, you're always going to have business because people need, experienced logistics providers. And, so I think it's a great business to get in, and it's a fun business. I mean, I've been doing it 28 years, and I learn something new, on a weekly basis. Rules and regulations are always changing, and you have to be on top of those things, or they can bite you. But it's something where it's always very interesting, and it's always kind of keeps you on your toes. So you definitely don't get bored in logistics. So as tough as it is, I think people enjoy it because it is a challenge, but it's a good challenge.
Okay, great. And the last thing just to mention before we end this vlog is the next AGM for the Global Freight Group is in your hometown. So do you want to give a little bit of an idea about what we might expect and what the plans are?
Yeah, I mean, we're super excited to have everybody in Atlanta this year. It's going to be a great time, and kind of what to expect. As always, we always like to say we have Southern hospitality, so we're looking forward to welcoming everyone. Showing them some of this Southern charm that we have here. But we're going to try to kind of, since it's our 30 years of Global Freight Group, we're going to try to up the ante a little bit on what we're doing, have some more events, make it a little more um, pleasing for our members, have some speakers mixed in there, have some more events mixed in there, and kind of get everybody, a little less free time, but a little more Global Freight Group time, a little more time to get to know each other, do some things that really kind of try to bring us together. So we're excited about that, and excited about kind of changing up the the menu, if you want to say, or the what we do, and kind of we've been kind of stuck in a structure of this is what we do, but we want to mix it in a little bit and add a little flair and do some different things. So I think it's going to be great, and I think it's going to be fun for the members and something that they'll really benefit from.
No, we're really looking forward to it, and I know that the members are too. So I want to thank you for joining me today, and wish you all the best. But thanks for joining us, Todd.
Yes, for sure. Thank you.
So that's it for another edition of Forward Thinking. Thank you to Todd, and I hope you'll join me next time when we'll be speaking to more leaders from around the world. Make sure you subscribe below on the channel, leave us any comments or questions, and we'll see you again on Forward Thinking soon. If you want to develop your freight business, head over to the Global Freight Group's website today and join the family.